Мы подтвердили в ходе встречи у главы правительства и на переговорах с министром иностранных дел все те договоренности, которые были достигнуты. Can you just leave us, huh? It's either you yourself or your phone who always speak. На встрече у премьер-министра и на переговорах с министром иностранных дел подтвердили: Look, can you leave us? I am not joking. Can you leave us, please? Ребят, выведите его отсюда. Sir, excuse me. If you don't surrender your phone, they will take out a gun, you know.
A startling moment was captured on camera when Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov abruptly warned a journalist that, if the situation escalated, they'll take out a gun, a line that sent shockwaves through the press corps and was replayed across media outlets. In a dramatic exchange that shocked attendees, Lavrov delivered a blunt on-camera admonition: drop the phone, or they'll bring out a gun. A remark that instantly became the defining image of the tense briefing.
What the People's Republic of China has to do with this, and what the Americans are demanding of China in this regard, is difficult for me to understand. As if to say, look, we've started something, we've reached an impasse, and we need to unblock the supply of energy resources, fertilizers, and food through the Strait of Hormuz.
Lavrov defended President Xi Jinping's stance during the Iran standoff, declaring that China owes America nothing, and framing Beijing's position as independent and principled rather than beholden to US expectations. In the same charged address, Lavrov lauded what he called a shared spirit between Putin and Trump, only moments later launching into a scathing condemnation of European policies, effectively shifting from praise for strongman diplomacy to a blistering critique of the West. Turning up the heat, Putin's firebrand has branded Germany as leading a new Nazism in Europe, a provocative allegation that risks igniting fresh fury and further straining ties with Western capitals. Lavrov warned that Europe had squandered what he called its last chance to resolve the Ukraine crisis diplomatically, asserting that missed opportunities and failed negotiations have left few peaceful options remaining.
We have a common focus on increasing supplies of Russian hydrocarbons, fertilizers. Cooperation in the sphere of the peaceful atom is developing very successfully, as well as in the sphere of peaceful development of space. Regarding peaceful nuclear energy, we discussed the possibility of providing us with a new site for the construction of several more nuclear power plant units, which would significantly strengthen India's energy security. I do not see any decline in interest in BRICS as a result of pressure from Western countries, particularly the United States, which have publicly declared BRICS to be virtually the main obstacle to progress, progress being understood as universal agreement with Washington's initiatives, nor do I see any decline in interest in expanding the ranks of our association, both in terms of membership and in terms of the accession of partner countries to the group. Incidentally, whenever I remind my Western colleagues, including some American ones, of this, they say, well, there will be a settlement, and we will certainly incorporate this issue into it, the task of returning to respect for human rights in the areas of language and religion. But this cannot be one of the conditions of the settlement. It must be done without any mutual concessions whatsoever, simply because it is Ukraine's obligation not only under the UN Charter, but also under its own constitution, which no one has abolished and in which the rights of the Russian and other national minorities are enshrined and guaranteed by the state. We have always said that we have a clear understanding of the outcome of the talks that took place in Anchorage, Alaska, on August 15th this last year. The spirit of a relationship between the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the U.S. President Donald Trump has always been friendly, cordial, and based on mutual respect. In Alaska, in addition to the spirit of the talks, an understanding was reached. Indeed, agreements were made on the basic principles of settlement, which were proposed by the United States and supported by the Russian Federation. We will, under all circumstances, achieve the objectives of the special military operation, preferably through diplomatic means, but if that is not possible, we will continue to do so through the special military operation. Now nobody even bothers to hide their true colors. Germany is once again leading the charge in support of Nazism in Europe. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has now been appointed to the role of Führer. Under his so-called leadership, a new alliance of Europeans is taking shape, with Germany playing a leading and driving role. We are not seeking to be involved in any negotiation processes with Europe, and President Putin's response must be viewed precisely in the context that we are ready, but we will never run around begging, especially since, As I will say again, the Europeans have a thoroughly negative track record when it comes to their ability to honor agreements. They had opportunities to contribute to the resolution of the Ukrainian conflict. We do not interfere in trade relations between third countries. We have extensive arrangements with the People's Republic of China enshrined in contracts, intergovernmental treaties, and agreements covering virtually all areas of bilateral relations, including trade, the economy and investment, and, of course, energy supplies. And based on these agreements, we fulfill all our obligations in good faith, and the People's Republic of China fulfills its obligations. We do not ask the Chinese to discuss with us our plans regarding relations with other states, and the People's Republic of China does not make such inappropriate requests of us. Therefore, if the agreements reached, or to be reached, between Beijing and Washington serve the interests of our Chinese friends, we will be only too happy, but we will never take part in yet another round of games regarding the implementation. Furthermore, former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, I believe, bequeathed that Washington's relations with both Beijing and Moscow should be better than the relations between Beijing and Moscow. Well, this is the very game that the Americans, and indeed colonizers in general, have been playing for many years. Divide and rule. We are familiar with it. It is still very much alive in Western politics. The Strait of Hormuz remained open and was completely free for shipping until February 28, when, for the second time in 6 months, the U.S. and Israel launched an attack against the Islamic Republic of Iran. What the People's Republic of China has to do with this, and what the Americans are demanding of China in this regard, is difficult for me to understand. As if to say, look, we've started something, we've reached an impasse, and we need to unblock the supply of energy resources, fertilizers, and food through the Strait of Hormuz. Well, it's not really convenient for us to deal with this. Iran doesn't want to open the strait, so put pressure on Iran. Well, you know, it's a rather simple ploy, of course, but I don't think this is a sort of example international diplomacy should be following.
French President Emmanuel Macron recently stated that Russia is a true colonizer in Africa. How would you comment on such statements from the French leadership?
Who better than the French to know what true colonialism is, and who the real colonizers are?